You are a wonderful God. Oh, my creator. Only you are.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Doyle back with another video. Today's video, I'm about to break down the trade that I took today. Really, this is my biggest day, literally. So I gotta, what I'm saying, bring this to YouTube. But before I break down this trade, bro, literally, it's been the craziest 24 hours. So at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I woke up and showed up to London last night just to see the price action, because I asked Instagram, I'm like, should I switch to London, because like these supply and demand sales just wasn't holding. I'm like, okay, maybe New York is just trash right now with the, with the stock market crashing or whatever. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should go to London and see what the price action looking like. I go to London and I'm just basically like simulating trades. I'm not placing any trades. I'm just seeing like, okay, is it going to play out, or is it just going to do the exact same thing that it's been doing? And it ended up doing the exact same thing it's been doing. I'm like, okay, so it's really not New York. It's just these setups is just not working out. So I'm like, okay, bet. I'm just gonna stick on New York. And yeah, so, and what's crazy is, what time is this? It was setups that was happening in between 6 a.m. to 8, because this is also a setup right here for a supply, and then this is also a demand setup that happened that could have been a quick win before the New York Stock Exchange opened. But that's besides the point. So let's get into this trade. Okay, so this was a 5-minute demand setup. It could have also been a support setup. The 1 hour was not in confluence at all. It had gaps above and below. I'm gonna show y'all that. And this trade was really trade what you see, because the higher time frame, it wasn't really helping. They had gaps below and above. So right here, oh, and another thing with this trade, it was 3 setups that I had well, it was 2 setups I had before this demand setup, because I was being flexible with the market and I was set on trading NAS100 only today. I wasn't set on trading no forex pairs, EU, GU. No, I only had NAS100 on my chart, because I was like, bro, I'm over these forex pairs. So so let's get into it. So right here is 9:25. Fast forward, this is 9:30. This New York Stock Exchange open. So I'm waiting until like 9:30, not 9:30, but 9:40, 9:45. So boom, boom. Okay, so once I see this, I'm like, okay, this could be a break and retest. Okay, I'm like, cool, this could be a simple break and retest. Break that little zone right there and then come back into it and then break above. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm already set on buys right here. I'm like, okay, we should be going up, especially when it did that. When it did that, I'm like, okay, yeah, this should be going up. We're breaking the 50 SMA. Like, okay, cool. And then it does this. Okay, now when it do that, I'm like, okay, now let's just delete the zones. It closed underneath the zone. I'm deleting it, like, straight up. So now now I'm just waiting. Now I'm just like, okay, let's just trade what we see. So it does this. Now it breaks structure to the downside. Now this sharp move like really made me think like, okay, we're on a bearish day. Like, we're just straight up on a bearish day. I'm like, okay, this is just like a breaking structure to the downside. Cool. And then once I saw this breaking structure to the downside, I went to the 1 hour. When I went to the 1 hour, I didn't see anything. I'm like, okay, where's the gaps? And then I looked right here. When I look right here, I'm like, okay, here got a gap in the market right here that they may want to fill in to balance out the market. Or I went to the 4 hour, and the 4 hour looked exactly the same. So I'm like, okay, they could be filling that in as far as that 5-minute break of structure. So now I'm set, like, okay, this could be a bearish day. But then also, when I also went on the 1 hour, I saw that we have a gap that was from right here to here. And I'm like, okay. Then I went on the 4 hour. Oh, I'm sorry. I went on the 4 hour and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, we got gaps above too. So this can go either way, because we have gaps to fill on the 4 hour above, and we got on the 1 hour gaps to fill above. So I'm like, okay, this can go either way. We don't know which way it could go. You got to be unbiased in this situation. So let me get off of this. I keep doing that. So right here, breaker structure, I'm like, okay, this could be bearish. It could be coming down here to fill that in. Let me fast forward. Okay, so once I saw this, I'm like, okay, this could be a regular break and retest for a sell. So I'm like, okay, if it break below some candles, I'm gonna get in for the sell. Still hold on the zone. And then it does that. I'm like, okay, so this is the second trade that became invalid. So let me take this stuff off. Take this off. So I'm like, okay, that's two trades that was supposed to be bullish that was invalid. I mean, that was one trade that was supposed to be bullish invalid, and that one trade that was supposed to be bearish invalid. So I'm like, okay, what's next? And then it left a gap right here on this demand. And I'm like, okay, it could tap back into this demand to go back up. So I'm like, okay, it could fill in these gaps over here, right here. So the market decides, see, the market tap back into that demand area, and now I'm just waiting for candles to break so I can take the buy. And it started dipping really deep into it. Now, if I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this is just a regular breaker structure to the downside to continue down. And I'm pretty sure everybody thought that. Like, today was probably the cleanest setup. However, people thought it was going to be bearish for sure, especially with this market structure break. But then I had to realize they could just be stopping out London low to go the other way. And that's literally what they did. This is London low right here. This is like 7 a.m. Like, this is like the end of London right here. And they literally stopped out the low to go up. Now, if I'm looking at this very moment, I went to the 15-minute. And I'm like, because this candle wasn't printed, it was this candle. And I'm looking, if you look at this, that just looked like a regular liquidity grab / support setup. And I'm like, bro, they could just be grabbing liquidity to go the other way. That's what I'm thinking about. 'Cause I'm like, if they're doing this, they're wicking too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not closing below. So I had that in the back of my head. Like, okay, the 15-minute chart is wicking. You can't see that on a 5-minute, but the 15-minute chart is definitely wicking. So let me put this demand box back up here, and I'm just waiting for candles to break. Candle broke, and entry was right here. I had my stop loss underneath that low right there, and the first take profit is always 1-to-1. But then I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, where could this go? Already had it marked up. Is this little gap area right here? So this was the longer target was up in this area. I don't know the exact numbers. I gotta check my MT4, but this one right here, that's the zone that I should be getting out at, okay? Because that's where the runner should go. Now the runner ended up going beyond that because it's also another runner area that I could have left it at, which was over here. I could have left it to this zone too as well. So either way it go, I had a good runner area basically. So this could have been a runner right here, or this could have been a runner over here. Either way it go, it was going to be a dub regardless. So if you're looking at this demand area, this can also be considered a support, because that's literally what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? It could have been considered support or demand. Either way it go, they both held. So because it never broke below the zone. So I bought right there, and the rest was history. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like everybody took this setup. The only people that didn't take this setup is people that took a buy up in this area. If you took a buy right here, you definitely got stopped out, because that's a double bottom, and they stopped you out, and then they went the other way. But then they created another double bottom. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when people be holding these buys, like, understand, like, your liquidity again. So they're going in your favor, but at the same time, you're still liquidity. So yeah, this trade ended up being like a 7,000. I think it was like 7,100 or something like that. But yeah, I could have held it again. I could have held it, but I was set on filling in this gap, and I was done. And then it ended up going all the way up here, and that could have been another take profit. You know what I'm saying? So runners was in today. Like, runners was in, and this was just a textbook setup. Let me know if y'all took this trade. I'm pretty sure people that watch this channel, y'all trade completely differently, but this is how I saw it. And I'm like, okay, this is just a fake out. Like, they're just faking people out. That big red candle is so convincing. This candle right here, it's so convincing that this is a bearish. This is a bearish day. But it's just like, nah, bro. Once they did that, and then they still didn't want to close underneath here, and they held on the demand, I'm like, yeah, I gotta take this, bro. And then once they broke the 50 SMA, I'm like, yeah, this out of here, bro. It's out of here. It was a little unorthodox type of setup, because it was just coming from a downtrend. It was coming from a downtrend, but it was ready to fill in those gaps. I was literally right here. It was ready. Gaps right here, gaps right here. It was ready. And I believe it's still going. I ain't gonna lie, I think it's still going. Yeah, it's still going up. But let me know if y'all took this trade, man. Textbook setup, man. You could have took it many ways, bro. There's many ways to take this trade. If you ended up taking like, I don't know, like a sale setup up in here, it didn't let you get a runner, which is tough. But yeah, this trade was only tough because it had gaps below and above. So the higher time frame wasn't helping at all. Let me take this off right here. Higher time frame just wasn't helping at all. I'm like, okay, this can go either way. Then, like I said, when I went to the 15-minute chart, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely like a little support setup right here, or a liquidity grab, because definitely that wick went way lower than that one. So like, it was so many ways to take this trade. But yeah, NAS100 blessed me, man. NAS100 blessed me, and I needed it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. But that's all I got on this trade, man. The setup itself wasn't complicated at all. It was just textbook. It was clean. So again, let me know if y'all took this trade, man. I know a lot of people ate off NAS, bro. Like NAS just came through, man. But that's all I got. Peace and love. I'm out.